Everyone, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra has just came out, so let's go ahead and show you exactly how to use this phone. Now luckily for you, this is not a super complicated phone to use. There's a lot of capability and I actually do love this phone a lot. I mean, I've just had it for about like 20 minutes, so definitely not a long period of usage, but I'll definitely tell you, if you bought this phone, it's going to last a very long amount of time. Now starting off with the outside, there's nothing super crazy to know here. You have a beautiful display on this thing. I mean, it's a big, massive display. It's kind of flat at the bottom and the top, but you do get the curved sides to it. So if you hold your phone, a little best tip, I would recommend not using and clipping on the sides too much of the phone. I'd recommend just keeping your hands as far away from the display because you can accidentally click things. You have the hole punch display up here, and that is it kind of for the outside, or at least for the front. The left side doesn't have anything, no buttons or anything. The top portion is pretty minimalistic as well, except for a microphone hole right there. But on the right side, sorry, you do have the buttons. So you have a power button right here, and you have the up-down volume buttons right here too. So if you want to power down your phone, reset your phone, or whatever, restart your phone, hold down this button. If you want to increase or decrease the volume, you can click those buttons right there. Now on the bottom of this phone, this is where things start getting a little bit more interesting. So in the middle, we do have our USB Type-C charging port, which is great. So if you want to go ahead and charge up your phone, you can charge it up here. You have two microphone holes right here, but on the very right side, you do have your micro SIM card slot. So what you can do is, if you can kind of take a look, you can grab a SIM card eject tool like this, and you want to put it to the second hole, that is the hole on the right side, not the one closest to the charging port, but the one, the second one in the way. And all you want to do here is grab your SIM card eject tool here, and you can go ahead and eject that specific SIM card eject tool like this, and you can go ahead and pry this thing out just like so, and you can go and grab that SIM card eject tool like this, and that's it. You're pretty much good to go. So now you can put your nano SIM card in here, and then you can go and do whatever else you want to do here. It's really nothing crazy, and that's pretty much all you're going to have to do. When you're ready, you can go and slide this thing back in just like this, put it back into place, and that is it. Now you also have the S Pen right here as well, which is really cool. Now this is pretty much like a stylus, so it's a really cool little thing. So if you want to, you can go and click this thing into place, and you can go and pull this thing out, then you have capability to your stylus, which is so awesome. So we'll talk about that in a second. So we'll just slide this thing back in, and we can just click it back into place like this, and it locks right into place. Now on the back of this phone, we do have the very amazing looking back. I mean, this thing is crazy. So we'll start off with the bottom. So we have the glass back right here, complete frosted glass back, which looks beautiful. You have the IMEI number down here, which is very uncommon. We typically don't see that like that, which is very interesting. And on the top left, you have its camera setup, which is actually pretty wild. So it's a very good camera. I'm pretty sure everyone out there is going to be able to use it all the time, which is really cool. And so these sensors are bigger than these ones right here. It's not a massive big deal, but it is one of those cool little additions. You have the LiDAR sensor up there as well, and that kind of covers it. You have wireless and reverse wireless charging, which is really cool. You have a lot of capability, very good feeling phone. And other than that, I mean, that's pretty much how this phone's going to look on the outside. Now turning this thing on, you have a few different options. So you can click the power button on the side right here, or you can go ahead, if the phone is off, you can go and double tap the display to actually turn it on, which is really cool. Now, big thing to keep in mind here is that I already went through the initial setup. It's very boring. I don't think anybody really wants to see it. So it's just a bunch of personal information. So things like your Gmail and password and whatnot. So once you go through that, this is basically the lay of the land. So on the front of the lock screen, we have our time right here, we have our date, and we have these app icons sometimes. Now you can also click on these app icons to show your notifications. So if you get notifications, those will pop up right here, which is so cool. Now at the very top, we have our status bar. So we'll have our, signal provider. So if we have Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever, those will come up on the top left. The top right will basically have our battery percentage right here. Some other information here too, like our Wi-Fi signal, which is really awesome. You also have your hole punch display here. Now at the bottom, we have our app icons. So we can go and change up a lot within our app icons here. We can click on our phone call icon here. We can click on camera right here. And that's pretty much it. And we can modify our complete lock screen by holding down our lock screen like this, and we'll be able to change up whatever we want to. So I'll save that for a different video. I've already made videos on that. But what we can do is, once you're ready, you can go and swipe up, and now you'll come into your main home display. So just like any other device out there, using your main display is pretty good. It's definitely not anything crazy. I'm sure everyone out there has used your phone like this before. So what you can do is you can go and start up from the top. We basically have our notification bar up here, our status bar, same thing as before. We have our home screen right here, and we have our either gesture-based design or our home screen buttons. So here what we can do is if we want to, this is a basic layout. We have our widgets, which we can go and move around. We can go and move them up and down. We can also take our app icons and we can hold them down and move them around just like this as well. If you want to remove a widget or whatever, you can always hold it down like this and not like that. You can always hold it down like this and you can always remove the widget. You can do all sorts of things. You can get into the settings panel of the widget as well. And it's a really cool thing that you have here. Now these app icons here, you can move them around as I showcased before. So you can hold down an icon like this and you can even bring it into its own page right here. So you can do this with not only these applications, but the ones in the dock and the other apps that I'll show you in a second too. You can swipe between these pages just like so, and that is that. Now this bottom bar here is your dock. So these apps will stay consistent. So no matter what page you're in, if you're in this one or this one, you can put applications here by dragging them down like this, putting them here, and they'll basically stay there, which is really cool. Now at the very bottom, we have our navigation bar. So if you want to go home, let's say you're in an application like this and you want to go home, you can click on the home button here and it will basically take you home. Let's say you go into an application like this and you get into this panel here, but you want to, let's say you make a new notification or whatever, but you want to go back to the previous panel. We can click the back button here, or you can click this back button right here and it'll take you to the previous panel. Now this recent button will basically show you the most recent applications that you used. So to break this down, you have your recent apps here. You have the ability of closing out all your applications in the background. You have your recent apps here, so your most frequently used, and you have this close all button. So if you want to close all the applications you're using in the background, it'll close them out and it'll take you back into your home screen. Now another big thing to keep in mind here is your application panel. So not all your apps will come up on your home screen. So if you want to, you can swipe up from your bottom of your app panel and you will come into this panel, which will show you all the applications that you're using. So if you ever want to search for an application, you can always click the search button up here. If you want to search for messages, Facebook, Play Store, Chrome, you'll basically be able to search for those applications here. And that is that. It's fairly basic to understand once you actually have the lay of the land. And basically from here, you can basically do whatever you want to on your phone now. Now swiping back out, if there's one thing that I want to show you again, it's a very important thing, it's with the status bar. So if we swipe down from the status bar, you'll see the notifications that we saw on our lock screen, but you'll also see this Wi-Fi and the sound icon up here at the very, very top. So what you can do here is you can go ahead and basically just quick toggle. These are called our quick toggles. So we can go ahead and turn off or on Bluetooth. We can turn on airplane mode, turn on our flashlight in the background as well. There's a lot of stuff here. But if you saw that, you can swipe down one more time and you'll actually be able to come into this panel, which will basically just show you exactly even more toggles that you can choose from. So what you can do here is you can click the search button, you can power down your phone, click the settings icon as well. There's already a lot of stuff here that you can kind of modify with, which is already so cool. Now on top of that, you'll basically have all these other icons down here that you can go and modify. So what I'd recommend doing for the most part is actually going through and just swiping through here and understanding all of these little kind of quick toggles. So you can add a quick toggle by clicking the plus button. You can increase or decrease your brightness by toggling this on or off just like this. And that is another really cool thing that you have the ability of doing. So beyond that, that is already some really cool stuff that you know how to do. Now if we go back up, I'm going to go ahead and just increase my brightness a little bit because it kind of went down a little bit. Now stock applications that you should know about, you have your phone call here, you have your messages here, you have your Chrome here, you have your camera here, which is really cool. Google Play Store is where you're going to download all your applications. So if you ever want to download an app or update any applications, that will be done within this application right here, which is so cool. You can also modify your home screen by holding down on the home screen like this. You can go ahead and basically change up everything within your phone for the most part. You can add a new home screen like here, click wallpaper and styles, themes, widgets. This is where the fun kind of happens, and you can go and modify your phone however you want to. Now beyond that, let's go and talk about the S Pen. So we can go ahead and basically see our S Pen, which is on the bottom left of our phone. We can go ahead and click it out. Now while it's in here, it's always wirelessly charging. So we can go and click on the application like this, and when we pull it out, you'll basically come into this little panel. It's a quick little walkthrough if you've never used it before. It basically tells you like hello or whatever. Now at this point, it'll go and tell you exactly what to do if you want to. So in this case, we'll just kind of go through this. It's not really that big of a deal. We've already kind of know how to use our S Pen, and that is it. So now what we can do is once we have our S Pen to kind of look around it, it clicks at the very top, and there's also one button on the side. So it's right here. It's about a little bit lower than half of the specific device. So if you click on it, it'll go ahead and enact a few things. So for one, if you hold it down, it'll enact, a little camera icon or whatever. You can modify it however you want to. If you double click it, it'll do something as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. So now if you double click that button, it'll take you into this panel. Now if you don't want to click that panel, you can also click on the side right here. So you can go and just basically tap onto that little app, pencil icon, and it'll take you into the same panel. Now here's where it'll tell you a few things. One, it'll tell you the battery life of your specific S Pen. Now this S Pen wirelessly charges in this specific slot, so you don't have to charge it separately. As long as it's in here and your phone is charged, it'll charge up. Now here, there's tons of things you can do. So for one, you can create notes, you can view all notes, you can do a smart select, you can screen write like over screen shots, live messages, AirDoodle translate, and pen up. Now at the very bottom left, you have your settings icon. So let's go and tap on the settings icon, and it'll take us into our S Pen, basically our S Pen settings. So here is a big thing to keep in mind. You can modify a ton of things within your S Pen right here. So starting here, we have Air Actions. I would recommend just keeping this on, and Air Command. So it's the standard style with 8 shortcuts. If we click here, we can go ahead and modify how that little panel at the side comes up. So if we click this, we can go and click here, and it's going to be a more compact version, or we can have the standard one, which gives us more information. Now here you can have the show air command icon, which is right there. If you want it off, you can click this off, but then you'll have to double tap this every time the side button right here in order to actually enact, the air icons to come up. So hover over your phone like this, double tap that icon, and that'll basically come up like this. For this case, we'll just go and keep it on. Now going back, we can go ahead and basically get into some other things. So air view, I'd recommend just keeping this on. Now when S Pen is removed, it can go ahead and show you and do a couple of things. So you can open Air Command, you can create a note, or you can do nothing. In this case, we'll just create a note because it's a very cool thing, and I'll show you that in a second. You can also screen off memos, quick notes, whatever. Now you have more S Pen settings here. Click on this, and there's a lot of other things you can do here. Warn if S Pen is left behind. I'd recommend keeping this on in case you leave somewhere and your S Pen is away. You'll basically be able to find it. It'll warn you. You can do sounds and vibrations. I typically just keep this off. Sounds and vibrations kind of annoy me, and that is it. Now, you can use this as a stylus as you normally would. So if you want to draw something, if you want to do whatever you can use this S Pen as you normally would. It's really cool. And if you actually take a close look, you can actually see that there's a little circle that comes up as you kind of move around it, which is really cool. Now, I told you to turn on a setting, right? So if we put our S Pen back in here, watch what happens. If our phone is off, so we'll go and turn our phone off. If you go and just leave it off, but you take the S Pen out, watch what happens to the display. The display will actually end up turning into a note panel, so I can go ahead and write down whatever I want to. Let's say somebody's talking to me and I want to, have a note. Well, I can go and write down the note here, and I can just keep going and just keep writing and writing. And that is a really cool thing. I've seen so many people use this. And whenever you're ready, just drop the S Pen back in just like this, and it will go ahead and save that note for you. That is a really cool thing. Now, that is exactly how to use the S Pen. Is that anything crazy? I'm sure some of you have used it before. It's very much similar to a stylus, but that is basically how to use that application in that, specific S Pen. Now, one other last thing I want to show you is within the settings application. This is a very important application to kind of remember and use as often as you can. So within this app, it will basically allow you to modify your connections and all these other things. If you ever get lost, or if you ever have a setting you're trying to find, you can always click the search bar up here. You'll always be able to find your search icons here. So you can search for whatever you want to. Bluetooth is an example I use all the time. So you can type in Bluetooth, and you'll be able to find tons of Bluetooth settings here. You can kind of just go on from there. It's a pretty basic, application. I'm sure most of you used something like this before. But a big application or one, specific setting I want you all to kind of remember is beyond all these is at the very bottom. So under the software update button right here, you'll basically be able to find all these things right here. But right here, the download and install, I would recommend updating your Galaxy S23 Ultra as soon as you get it. Because if you don't, there can be some settings or some other things that come up that you basically don't have access of using anymore or something along those lines. So I'd recommend just going through updating your specific phone as soon as you get it. And that is going to be a massively, super important thing that you end up doing. So that is basically how to use your phone. That's the S23 Ultra. It's nothing crazy. I'm sure most of you have used a phone like this. But that is basically how to use the core features within this phone. Now, there's going to be tons of things that you may not know about. So I'll leave those on my second channel. If you want to watch the videos on those, you can feel free to. That's basically how to use this device. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.